good afternoon. My name is John Keats, ironically, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, aha, John Keats, you are the poet. No, I am the John Keats, the poet nephew. And that's because John Keats' poet's parents had three sons. They had the son by the name of John, who is the poet that you're well aware of. They also had a son by the name of Thomas, and they had a son by the name of George. Well, their mother, tuberculosis was rampant during that time, and John Keats' mother and Thomas and George's mother died of tuberculosis. John Keats, the poet, only lived to the age of 25, and his brother Thomas only lived to be a very young age as well. But I am the third son. So that makes me a nephew to John Keats, the poet. And his father, and that would have been George. That would have been John Keats, poet's brother. Came to America and made his fortune in the Louisville mill industry. So after his father's passing, John trained with his stepfather to learn surveying and civil engineering, spending several years working in Cuba, actually. So interesting there. By 1862, he was living in Warren County, Missouri. And on January 1st of 1862, you know what date that was? That's the beginning of the Civil War. He enlisted in the Union for the war, and he was mustered into the 3rd Regiment of the Missouri State Military Cavalry and initially worked as a nurse in the regiment hospitals. Now, that's interesting how he got into being a medic in the Army, because this is something that a lot of people don't know about his uncle, John Keats, the poet. John Keats the poet went all the way through medical school. He went all the way through medical school. He became a surgeon's assistant, and they called them apothecaries at that time. But he became a surgeon's assistant, and that's amazing because we think of him as a poet, but medicine was not his first love. His first love was poetry, and that's what he became famous for. But he was a doctor. He went all the way through medical school and did all that. So here's his nephew, also named John. And these little hospitals where they would treat the sick and the wounded soldiers were very small. And the staff there would treat those who were sick and wounded. They were staffed with enlisted surgeons as well as enlisted men serving as nursing staff and sometimes supplemented by women volunteers. And by July of the same year, he was promoted to the rank of hospital steward. In this role, he would have been doing minor surgeries on his own, like his uncle. He would have been acting as a pharmacist. He would have been doing autopsies and ensuring the hospital was well stocked and records kept for the Army. So initially, the 3rd Regiment of the SMM Cavalry saw duty in southeastern Missouri and northeastern Arkansas, and eventually moving farther north around Liberty and St. Joseph near the end of the 1865, and that would be right at the end of the Civil War. And at this time, his regiment was seeing action in northwest Missouri, which could have influenced his decision to settle here in DeKalb County. So by 1870, he was farming near Amity, worked as a county bridge and surveyor and civil engineer, and the particular brand that he actually owned the exclusive device. Now get this. I had owned the rights and the exclusive rights to sell a brand new device called a steam washer. And a steam washer was the precursor to modern day clothes washing machine. There you go. I had something to do with the invention of the washing machine. You can thank me and my ancestors for that. Okay. The particular brand that John sold was marketed as a woman's friend, and the precursor to the modern day machines. In 1880, he married Catherine Bartholomew, and they had one daughter together. Eventually sold their farm and moved to Maysville. And I passed away on May the 7th, 1917, and wife Catherine passed away just over a month later on June the 14th. And they are buried together. We are buried together right here at the Maysville Cemetery. Yeah.